Yes, Russ, it's the volume. You got to turn your volume down. Welcome to the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. Give me 1 second. I've got to fix it. We have a new. We now have a new chat room manager, and he comes at me while the theme is on instead of the 30 seconds before that he could have done this. Here, let me see the phone. The guru's guru. He's a guru about a lot of things, but if it's outside of the shall we say trivia game.
We all have our strengths. Okay?
We all have our strengths. Okay, so what?
My brother was on Jeopardy.
Create a channel. You don't have a channel. You can't join the chat then. I thought you said you had. I am sitting here on YouTube fucking with my own show, joining the live chat. You're going to have to create a channel to join the live chat. There you go. Oh, hey. I'll do it for you. It did. Hey, channel created. You're
in.
Roscoe Hen.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome
to the show. Welcome to the show. He doesn't get a camera though. He is the disembodied voice.
Disembodied.
That is on the on the chat. So
Phantom,
join the chat right now. For those of you, for the 14 or 15 of you that are watching right now, hi Iris, hi Danny. Iris and Danny, by the way, very loyal. They talk about us.
Hi, Iris and Danny.
I hate that my sports show is getting more attention than my entertainment show.
Why don't we have a round table?
Nobody loves my entertainment show, the Gonzo Radio
guests.
Show. We get good views and everything. We got great guests.
I got a few friends and family watching too. So, but you know what they're going to start doing is once we start giving them the information this year and they start making money, we'll have a few people lined up.
Does this mean I have to stop cursing?
No.
Be just F-I-D, F-F-F-F.
We want you to be you.
F-I-D. I mean, I don't say the F word without reason.
True.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, not at work, not in church, not in the mall, not at family gatherings.
When's the last time you've been to church?
Not counting funerals?
Yeah. No.
It's been a while.
Okay.
So we got a lot to get to, though, and we're sitting here kibitzing and talking about dirty language. Don't worry, I'll drop some F-bombs because I like to ask are you FKM? That's one of my favorite things. But we are now officially ankle deep into the preseason now.
Got a game under our belts.
A game under our belts. They're all done, right? Yeah, they're all done now.
Yeah.
It's Sunday morning. They're all done.
Yeah.
And any early assessments?
I don't have much for the preseason, honestly. No? I'm watching only pretty much injuries, just to make sure everybody's healthy. Most teams aren't displaying much. They're not putting much out there game plan-wise. They're just getting through the motions. They pretty much have a pretty clear picture of who's on the team and who's not, I think.
And part of our name is Gonzo. Are there any Gonzo stories happening in the NFL now here really, really early in the preseason?
Got the AB.
AB, which is...
Is it feet? Is it hat? Is it helmet? What's the story going on there with AB?
It's a bad case of Miami, okay? I'm going to reveal something to you, a little something that nobody may actually realize. AB he's Florida man.
Yeah,
he's Florida man in the NFL. He is Miami Florida man. He is Miami African American Florida man. He is Florida man. Okay. He is supremely talented. He is a gifted athlete. He is a driven worker. Okay. He has made himself what he is, and this whole thing with the feet and the helmet and the threatening to retire. I'm not playing football without my own petrol helmet. He's got to have his helmet.
Yeah. Well, listen, to me, I don't think he's going to walk away from the money.
No.
We talked about it. Where's this guy going to make money after football? I mean, with a personality. I mean, maybe he may get some spots, but think about it. He knows he's not making his money after football. Endorsements, what companies?
It's a publicity stunt.
Yeah, but these publicity stunts are me publicity stunts. They're not going to generate revenue. If anything, they're going to push companies and other potential investors from your product and your image away from who you are. His money's going to be made on the field. He's playing this year. He's not walking away from that contract.
Hard knocks. You have a television show. An HBO show. You have a venue. You have a vehicle.
Raiders are a dumpster fire.
Raiders, they're not a dumpster fire. How are they a dumpster fire?
Dumpster fire.
They're not a dumpster fire. Oh, the guru has raised his hand. The disembodied speak, disembodied voice.
Right, come on in.
What the Raiders are is a media circus. It's what Jerry Jones has been forever for the Dallas Cowboys. It's what makes the Dallas Cowboys one of the fourth biggest sports franchises in the world. The Raiders are headed that way. We're heading to Las Vegas next year.
Yep.
They're paying Gruden a shit ton of money.
Yep.
And now the Antonio Brown is just another piece of the circus.
Yeah, it's not good for them, I think, personally.
Yeah.
They're not going
Shit
to
show.
win 10, 12 games.
They're on. Listen,
But they are going to be on your mind.
Right. They are on Hard Knocks. Their profile, even as the legendary franchise that they have been, okay, they are raising their profile even that much higher in anticipation of the move to Las Vegas. Okay. And although the guru may be wrong, I still think that they could probably win 9 games, 10 games. It's possible.
Okay.
It's possible. But it's a circus.
Yeah.
It's all it is a circus. It's all it is to draw ratings for Hard Knocks. Okay, like you said, he's not walking away from the money. Okay, he's not. It's all a circus to distract from. I'm an idiot that didn't wear proper footwear in a cryo chamber, and I got frostbite on my feet, and I need 3 weeks to heal my feet.
Yeah, Gruden came out and defended that particular situation and saying it wasn't his fault, saying it was, and it's hard to imagine that it would have been. I've never stepped in one of those changers. I'm sure there's protocol. I'm sure he didn't.
200 degrees.
Well, the thing is, I'm sure he doesn't have one in his hotel room. He went to a facility, which I'm hoping was at least somewhat supervised. And
Yeah,
apparently wasn't.
there's guys there that are, they're technicians that are supposed to be in charge of making sure that people wear the right feet.
Well, think of it. Do you think he broke in overnight and jumped in? He's like, here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'll be back in the morning. I'm going to go jump into a tank in some facility and break in and just do it myself? Come on.
I have you have better than 50-50 odds that Antonio Brown was in a big hurry at one point and came in and said, no, I don't need them things, man. Just give me a quick shot. But sir, no, come on, man. I'm pressed for time. Let's go. Come on.
Maybe. I don't
Bet
know.
me.
I don't know. It's all I'm saying is it should have never happened.
50-50 shot.
And I'm going to put more of the onus on the facility and the people that should have been supervising and the team. The team had now if the team wasn't aware that he was getting this treatment, which is hard to believe, then the team's ultimately responsible.
Anybody in the chat room got anything to say about that over there, chat room?
No, sir.
No, nobody's in there. No Iris, no Danny.
Just Iris.
Just Iris. Hi, Iris. How you doing? Welcome to the show. Yeah, that's just plain circus talk.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think a lot of these things circling around these sorts of players are there for a reason. I think you create your own
a distraction
path, and I just think that path and he's taken and going to the Raiders. I just don't see a lot of positives there yet. Maybe 10 wins. I think it's a reach.
Okay,
I don't think they're better than 4,
really?
But we'll see. But I mean,
4.
Yeah, I mean 4 to 5 wins tops for the Raiders this year. Yeah, but anyway. That's Oakland.
Okay.
We'll see. Or Oakland, L.A., Vegas. Who the hell are they? I don't think they have an identity. That's the problem. They're trying to find one.
And
right now it's Gruden.
Yeah.
Right, and what happens if they do find one?
Well, we'll see.
Okay. Well, he's got a blase. He doesn't like talking about the Raiders.
We'll
He's a
see.
Steelers fan, so he really
No, I have
hates
no
the
beef
Raiders.
with the Raiders. I have no beef with any team. I'm emotionless.
How about
I'm
them
preaching.
Browns?
I have a beef with them.
No, see?
No, I don't.
I thought you
Honestly,
had no
I
beef
don't.
with
I'm
nobody.
kidding. My beef with them is not the team itself or the city or the players or the coaches. It's just analyzing their team's performance. I just think people are hyping a team that's just not. They're going to be disappointed. That's all. That's my point. That's my stance.
Okay, then. What do you want to pick up on right now?
Before
we go to a break and then come back and let you just go bananas.
Well, I mean, what we're going to listen. My sell is always value, and if we're going to be focusing on at least our next segment,
value.
Yeah, going into these drafts, let's talk some draft advice. Just in terms of what I've done is. There are a lot of drafts out there, a lot of mock drafts, a lot of expert drafts.
I did
went
3
through,
this morning.
I've done a few
I've
too.
done 3 so far.
What I've done for a baseline for preparation for my drafts going into this year is I've looked at a lot of the expert drafts, the experts mock drafts. They're available online. There are many. What I haven't seen, and which is a good thing, I guess, is there isn't much deviation between the picks. They're pretty solid. Maybe a round difference in some and a few spots in certain rounds, but for the most part, I think it's a good blueprint to start from. Now, do not put all your stock in ADP because one of the things we talked about.
It should be a major factor, though.
It's a part of it. It's a tool to use, but I'm going to explain what tool I use it and how I use it.
Right.
ADP last year, if you'd gone by that, I think we mentioned that 3 of the first 12 picks in the first round last year actually hit value. So who are these experts picking these picks, right? Are you an expert? Am I an expert? Certainly not.
It's Eisenberg, La Camfora,
Yeah.
all of these guys, especially CBS Sportsline. They got like 7 guys.
Everybody's an expert. So my point is that the ADP should be used for this particular reason. It's a baseline.
One factor.
It's something that you can look at. You can kind of get an idea generally on where players' values have been assessed coming into the season. And then what I've done is I've taken those particular players and I've kind of marked them, graded them up, graded them down, going back to my check boxes theory. If I look at, offensive line strengths as opposed to defensive schedules or whatever I'm using.
Would that be like a macro market tool to analyze stocks?
I guess you could in some sort of way. Yeah, you could use this
that's
philosophy.
what it's sounding like to me.
Ironically, you say that. Most of the guys that are successful in the DFS are Wall Street guys. They're not sports guys. They're money guys.
Yeah,
guys that understand the
number
system.
guys.
Right, exactly. Guys that can crunch numbers and understand where values lie, and they're volume guys. They're guys that understand that this is approaches to be taken step by step, day by day, and not trying to always go for the home run. It's always keeping something a little bit in reserve. So,
would that be the 3% growth?
if that's what they're doing, they're happy with that.
3% profit.
3% of a lot of money each day ends up being a lot of money
at the
end of the day. Yeah,
exactly.
So whatever that percentage is, if it's 1%, if I knew I was making 1% of my money every day, in a couple of years, I think I'd be pretty happy.
Yeah, well, you're looking at, if you go $100,000 worth of action at 1% a day.
It's a pretty significant amount each day.
You're doing all right.
Remember that whole
$1,000 a day.
Remember the stuff that they're not teaching kids anymore about the whole compound interest thing and the economics and how
yeah.
things work? Well, that's pretty much what it is.
It took me until I was like 30.
Add 1% of your net worth.
They didn't teach that in high school when I was there.
Add a penny a day and double it, and by the time you get to about 4 weeks, you won't be able to save that money anymore, will you?
No.
So anyway, that's the whole thing on money. So the point is that go into the draft, use the ADP, I think, as a blueprint, but then go through the players certainly as the preseason goes on, because there are changes being made. There's injuries that are happening. Perceptions of certain teams may change as the preseason goes along.
Right, hang on 1 second. Let's pause to let the people finish writing what you just said.
Okay.
Go ahead. Perfect. Because you are coming like this. And listen, I know you're not an experienced broadcaster, which is the reason why I interrupt you for no fucking reason whatsoever.
Sure. I get it. Stop. Reel me in.
Not reeling you in. I just have to give you a pause and say something so that the people who are taking notes, which I'm sure there are 3 or 4 people right now that our audience is relatively small or whatnot.
Right.
Okay, but there are still a few people taking notes.
Right.
And especially the people that are listening on the podcast. By the way, you can catch us on Podbean, Spreaker, and SoundCloud. If you want to listen to the show, say you're driving or whatever on your commute, you can also re-listen to the show if you missed anything or if you didn't take any notes. So just letting you know that. But yeah, now we're preseason.
Right.
We're injuries, and we're not taking ADP as the sole metric for drafting.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the importance for preseason is the injuries, making sure you guys are out there. Injuries not just to the position players you're looking to draft, your name guys, your receivers, but you're looking at offensive line injuries. You're looking at defensive line. You're looking at just overall team injuries that are going to affect style and play and obviously outcome of the games that are on the field. Just
ask David Johnson owners last year.
Oh,
they were going, we got the guy, and we got a good quarterback, and Bradford's going to be a good quarterback. He's always a good quarterback if he stays healthy, and we got Josh Rosen on the bench, and what was it, 4 out of the starting 5 offensive linemen and 2 backups got hurt.
Yeah, they assess penalty. It's like hockey. They assess injury minutes for every team, and Arizona was
Uber drivers playing offensive. They're playing guard for them.
They were second in injury minutes last year. So, they were in trouble.
There were Uber and Lyft drivers playing guard for them last year.
Yeah,
so even a guy who like David Johnson, who's a fantastic fantasy player and a fantastic overall player.
Yeah.
Now
here's the thing too, which something we'll allude to with Arizona with their team and their concept is offensive line ranking this year for them is only still 26. They were bad last year, but they've made some changes.
Taking the pressure off of them.
Well, obviously with Kyler Murray back there now, they know that the style of gameplay is going to be different. You're not going to have a guy just sitting back there in the pocket. The injury we mentioned, they had a rookie center that played all year.
Yep.
So they brought over, I think, Marcus Gilbert in the offseason to play right tackle, and they also signed a guard from
one of
somewhere.
Several additions.
So they've stepped up. They've improved their team, different coach, different philosophy. I'm bullish on the Cardinals, and that's one of the guys that we'll mention too, David Johnson.
Seeing that offense in action into the twos even.
Yeah.
Okay, it doesn't look like the offensive linemen have to do very much.
They have to be only marginally better than they were last year, I think.
Yeah, because they're taking the pressure off.
And with concept and style change and different players in different spots, I think Arizona makes a huge move. So, like every team, yeah, certainly. Health is a big concern. Okay. But again, what I've done based on the ADP at least originally is I picked a couple of players that I know are going to be on everybody's teams this year that I'm not so bullish on, and a few players that I went through, and a few guys that are in later rounds that I am bullish on. So I want to maybe talk about those guys real quick. So we can do it now. We got some time to talk about it now.
Okay.
Damian Williams, most drafts.
You don't have to ask my permission.
Most drafts.
Can we talk about it now? Let's talk about it now.
Let's talk about it now.
I know you're saving something for after the break, but go ahead.
Damian Williams.
Not going to be the guy in Kansas City.
He could be, not sure. The latest conversation from Mr. Reed is that he wants to go running back by committee. Okay, we'll see.
Carlos Hyde will eliminate the need for a running back by committee.
Okay.
We are talking about an Ohio State running back who is a difference maker when given enough touches. Okay, and when healthy.
Okay.
Let's not forget Carlos Hyde, his first 3 seasons with San Francisco. San Francisco, he was the guy. He was the only reason why they won any games in San Francisco.
Yeah, he was a workhorse for them.
They ran him into the ground. I know because I had him one year where he had 330 touches.
Right, but I will just tell you what is coming out of camp and what Andy Reid has said, and that he would, I don't know about prefer go to running back by committee, but they're pretty high on that Darwin Thompson, the kid he took from Utah State, 6th-round pick this year.
Right.
He's having a good camp.
Say it again, 6th-round pick.
Yeah, 6th-round pick.
6th-round pick.
Yeah.
If they were high on him, they would have used a higher pick.
Okay. But also Carlos Hyde is a guy that you mentioned. But here's something about catch rates, which I like to look at too. And also, too, run schedule. They happen to have the fourth hardest run schedule this year. So, again, not excited about looking for teams that
run
are...
schedule. Now, wait, explain run schedule. Run schedule would be the strength of teams you're running against.
Correct, for the season.
Okay, the strength of the teams currently.
Current rankings, again, which are subject to change.
Yeah, subject to change.
But again,
quality of play
I'm going to feel more comfortable with taking a team with an assessment towards the higher end of that than I would be towards the lower end of that.
Right.
So, I mean, to me, you could look at teams and go, wow, it's tough to run against Pittsburgh. It's tough to run against Baltimore. However, those teams, you know who those teams are, they're using those same metrics. And
right, but you could also micromanage those metrics and go into that schedule and go, well, I don't see why they're rating this as the 4th hardest.
Agree. And strength of schedule is an arbitrary thing. It's not fact until it happens. But again, I'm just saying I feel more comfortable looking at guys that I know are going against teams that have been ranked against the 27th best rushing defense as opposed to a team that is going to be going against the 4th best.
Right.
Okay. There's pretty good separation there.
Know your coordinators and know your free agency moves.
Yeah. So again, the Chiefs, the philosophy, they've got a ton of weapons. Mahomes on the 2nd year. Defenses are going to be scheming differently.
And Spagnuolo is the DC there, by the way.
Yeah, it's just that I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable in the sense of assuming that because a player did something in that position the year before, that once that player leaves, that they can fill a spot with just a different player.
Right. Well, they've filled a few spots with different players. What they have done is, okay, Spagnuolo is a wide 9. He's a wide 9 guy. His defenses are predicated on what? Taking the ball away. They are predicated on takeaways. Mm-hmm. What has he gone out and gotten? He went and got Tyrann Mathieu. The Honey Badger don't give a shit. Yeah. He is going after the ball. He is always around the ball. Okay, he ran Eric Berry out of town, and we're talking about a hometown favorite, a guy who they all thought was going to be a Hall of Famer. Mm-hmm. And he's going to die a Chief. Guess what? You're gone, pal. Why? Because you're not a Spagnuolo guy. Spagnuolo went out and got Spagnuolo guys, and they're going to start taking. Can you imagine that Kansas City offense with 10 more possessions? 10 more possessions. Okay? 10 more possessions.
Yeah, it's going to depend on game flow. It's going to depend on
I understand,
a lot of things.
What I've seen right now, just from the first game and from all the intel and from what I know of Jeff Spagnuolo. as a defensive coordinator. His defenses are predicated on taking the ball away, sacking the quarterback and taking the ball away.
Well, certainly that'll create more opportunities on the offensive side. Yeah,
more.
Yeah. So again, we're both in agreement then about Damian Williams, about the fact that I don't like to put a player in a position that hasn't been there yet to prove that worth, that value, okay, for a first or even early second round pick.
Oklahoma running back.
I mean, this is not a knock on Damian Williams. He may fit very nicely in the offense, but there's too much noise around that to validate comfortably picking him that high in the draft. So I'm knocking him down a bit. He's probably not a guy I'm targeting.
And Carlos Hyde was signed as a free agent. He was signed. He was chosen, if you will. He was taken. And we're talking about a guy who has been the alpha. He has carried the load for teams, even mediocre teams. Well, this is a really good team.
Yeah.
He may only require 200 touches. But if there's only 420 to 450 touches for running backs, okay, he's getting almost half of them.
You get a lion's share of them, for sure.
He's going to get the lion's share.
Right.
Because you have the sixth-round draft choice, and you have the
a
guy
lot
who's
of
never
options.
been a starter.
Yeah, even more so, just supporting the theory of we're staying away.
There's two guys named Williams, right?
Yeah. So, all right, so that's one of the guys way too high in the drafts, okay? Next guy I'm talking about, Melvin Gordon.
I mean, if you're playing in any of the leagues that we play in, you want to draft Damian Williams 6th, 7th, 8th.
Yeah, please.
Go for it.
Good luck with that.
Go ahead and draft him in the first or second round. He is going to be the guy in Kansas City. You. Okay.
You sold him. Yeah.
It's just
people are taking him now.
It's getting close to draft time, man. I'm getting salty now.
Here's a guy that is maybe a little personal for you, Melvin Gordon. I know he was good to you guys last year. He had a fantastic year last year.
I'm very disappointed in you, Melvin. I'm very disappointed. I'm very disappointed in you, Melvin, because you have no leverage.
Yeah.
There's going to have to be catastrophic injuries to your fellow running backs in critical places with teams that seem to be on the verge of going to the Super Bowl, and they need a decent, if not really good, running back.
I'm going to sell you on
gambling.
The theory that let's assume Melvin Gordon was in camp right now. I'm still going to be able to show you reasons why I don't think he's going to get to the value where he's being drafted.
Oh, hypothetically.
So let's assuming he's playing. Let's assuming that we turn the news on later on, we go home,
healthy.
And that he's playing and he's healthy, okay?
Okay.
ADP for Melvin Gordon has been about 9, okay? So he's going in the first round, late first round, okay?
Yeah,
5th or 6th running back taken for the most parts. I know I mentioned last year he was really good to you guys. I think last year he was at like 5.3 yards a carry. Well, coming into this last year,
11 games of the season, sure.
He was a beast. Now, they changed their offensive philosophy. Their offensive line's really good. You know, Rivers throws the ball around the field. They've got some talent. So they're a prolific offense, okay? They're in a good spot. But coming into that, previous 2 years, he was at 3.9 yards per carry, okay? So last year, perhaps a little bit of an aberration, okay, at 5.3. That's like a 30% jump. Now, again, players do improve, situations improve, I get all that. But let's reel back a little bit on that 5.3 number. Here's something else I want to talk about, too. He's missed some games, the injuries. You mentioned it, okay? He's got one
piling up.
1 year, 16 games. He's averaged 12 games the other 3. I think 1 year he's got 2 years at 12, 1 at 13. So, again, like we talked about in fantasy, if you're not on the field, you're not going to produce. That's an issue.
That's true.
So that's another reason. They also are going against the second hardest rush defense, which we alluded to with Damian Williams in terms of who they play against. Chargers are in no better shape. They're in worse shape. The strength of schedule for run defense is ranked 2 in the league.
Right. Well, first of all, that entire division is brutal. Even with the Raiders. Brutal. And
in terms of now, it seems like the shift has been towards running backs catching the football. He hasn't eclipsed 50 catches yet in his career. So you wouldn't even consider
Austin
him.
Eckler very, very exciting.
And they've got guys to fill that role. So again, you're drafting a guy perhaps based on last year's performance. You've got to look at the situation that they're in this year. Now let's bring the reality into play. He is injured. He is not under contract. And it's just, to me, it's way too much of a risk to take your first round pick on a guy that's got that many boxes negatively checked.
Is he sitting out on purpose, you think? He's that banged up that he doesn't want to play this year?
I don't know.
I mean, that would call into issue. That would be an issue with heart.
It seems like that.
Not that I'm doubting his heart.
Right.
Who am I to talk smack about a guy who doesn't want to play football for millions and millions of dollars?
Here's what I don't want to do. I don't want to waste time and energy on trying to predict guys' emotions and feelings and where they are in terms of what they feel is right for them. I don't care. If you're not playing, you're not helping my fantasy team, and if you're not playing, then you're already worked into the fact if I decide to bet that team, you don't figure. So why would you even attempt to be a part?
You don't factor into my life anymore.
You're not in my equation, so move on. So again, guys, Melvin Gordon, big risk, ADP 9. It may go down a few spots. I just don't see the risk.
But once again in the 3 leagues that we play in, do it.
Please.
Top 10.
Yeah, take him.
Take Melvin. Top 10 all day.
Here's a guy that I wouldn't mind getting some pushback on, and I may. Excuse me, I got a horse in my throat. Adam Thielen. Speaking of a guy who was hurt last year. Huge year last year numbers-wise. You look at him on the surface, okay, over 100 catches, I think 113 catches, 1,300 yards. I think he had 8 touchdowns, whatever it was. Obviously, he's looked at the dynamic duo with him and Diggs on the other side.
Yep.
This is where I'm getting a little worried. Okay, here's a guy that again has moved way up in drafts.
Yep.
Most leagues last year he was 8th, 9th, 10th round guy, whatever it was. Okay, and then shot up obviously with what he did on the field. This year they got him at 26 ADP, late second round.
Because of the injury, because of the change in offensive coordinator.
Worries me because of this reason. He had all those catches last year. A lot of those catches last year, he had the lowest yards per catch in his career, only 12.2 last year, which means that, granted, he caught everything thrown his way, but a lot of it was pre-designed, hot routes, go routes, stuff like that. Okay,
well, he's the hot route. No, he is the hot route guy. Okay,
I have no issue with that. Go ahead. I mean,
he's the hot route guy.
Yeah, I mean that's his role on the team, and you have roles in the team. But I'm worried about this. The coach in Zimmer is run first guy. Okay, now Dalvin Cook last year was hurt, didn't play. He's the bell cow, at least in Zimmer's mind.
They went and got Amir Abdullah.
And they got another guy that can, again, Zimmer is a run-first guy. Now, we've seen and we'll continue to see, and everything supports that that's not a positive philosophy for being productive in the NFL. 1st and 10 throw rates are on the rise, and teams that are doing that are teams that are successful.
Well, you do know they did make a move in their coordinator room. They did change offensive coaches.
Because they fired the one halfway through last year. Mike DiFilippo was fired last year, halfway through the season, because he didn't agree with Zimmer's philosophy.
You know who the guy is now? Do you know?
No.
Gary Kubiak.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Kubiak from Houston. I remember, yes. Okay.
He unretired, sort of. He just wants to sit up in the booth and, play mad scientist. And we're talking about one of the reasons why people are overhyping Stephon Diggs is because of Gary Kubiak and his offense. Okay. So I think Thielen's drop could be because of the fact that he's not going to be the same focal point that he was when he was healthy last year. Okay, because he was a primary target a lot. And then he was the hot route guy.
Okay. Well,
and he was very good at running the hot route.
Here are numbers again from last year. In the last 5 games he played, he did not eclipse the 5 reception mark. And only once did he get to 80 yards in the last 5 games, twice under 20. I'll also say this year that, and again, this goes back to their schedule. Prior to, and since Zimmer's been there, they are 0-10-1 outdoors on the road. Okay, this is what their record is. And now a lot of it, I think, is, again, because we've discussed about their run-first philosophy, and now that they're going to have guys that can support that theory, Dalvin Cook being healthy, Shining Abdullah, that doesn't support, for me, change in philosophy. It tells me that it's pound and ground, which isn't going to work. But here's more importantly, 0-10-1 on the road, outside. Okay, this is their schedule this year. They are in Chicago, in Green Bay, Kansas City, in Seattle, at the Chargers.
Well, it's L.A.
I'm not talking about weather. I'm talking
outside.
Outside.
Okay.
Outside of their comfort of their home stadium in the indoors. Okay. Now, there's credence to that. You've seen over the years.
So they're due?
They're due to get crushed.
But they made improvements on the offensive line.
Okay. I'm not a Thielen guy this year. At ATB 26, ADB 26, it's a reach.
A reach.
And guys will take him at that number, at that position, or give or take a few picks. Let him have it.
Go crazy.
Let him have it, guys.
I like Stephon Diggs a lot better, though.
Well, listen, both guys are going to put up numbers, but I just don't think they're going to validate. I don't think Thielen is going to validate a late second round pick this year. So not for me. So quickly, can we go on to the two guys that I think are going to blow value up this year that people should have on their radar?
And then we can take a break.
Yeah, let's take a break real quick. Situation in San Francisco. I think offensively that team moves forward this year. Healthy quarterback, a coach with another year experience, and
Tevin Coleman.
Hopefully some
You trust
what? Trust who?
Garoppolo?
I trust the coach. I trust the fact that they'll improve.
Oh, disembodied voice.
I trust the fact that they're going to be coming into. People are not going to know what to expect, which is new. I think the teams you'll see typically struggle with newness, at least on the defensive side early on. So I think they're at an advantage to have all their horses. So whatever Shanahan's plan is, I've got confidence in Shanahan and the plan, I guess I would say. Right. Garoppolo was a winner when he played, so we'll see.
The Guru's aspect is you got to show me. I don't believe it.
Okay.
From what I've seen and the injuries, both in San Francisco and New England.
Non-contact injuries?
You got to show me.
He hurts him. Like this guy with the non-contact injury?
Yeah. I agree. Listen, he's got big shoes to fill in terms of that contract that he signed and hasn't really performed at any level, really, other than a few games in New England.
I'll say this. He's worth a gamble, especially his players around him. It's worth a gamble. I mean, yeah, they brought Tevin Coleman in for a reason.
That kid's going to be special this year too.
Yeah,
yeah. But here's the guy that I like moving forward. It's not Tevin Coleman,
I know.
Although I think he's going to potentially exceed value.
I know that was my cleverly disguised professional setup.
It's Matt Breida.
Yeah, I know.
This guy rookie last year, boy, another late fifth or sixth round pick, whatever the hell he was.
Nobody.
He had 180 touches last year. And with that, he was at 5.3
he got banged
yards.
Up a bit, though.
He did a little bit. He's not an overly big guy, but here's the thing. There's a role for him in this offense. 180 touches last year. He had an 88% catch rate, which, by the way, Tevin Coleman comes in at about a 70% catch rate. And he was at 5.3 per yards, whereas Coleman, over his career, is a 4.2 guy. So, short sample size, I get it, but they like Breida. They think he's gem in the rough type guy.
Right.
And again,
or a diamond in the rough.
Yeah, what did I say?
Gem.
I like gems.
Okay.
Because my birthstone is an Alexandrite, and I think it's not fair that kid doesn't get talked much about, the Alexandrites.
Okay, so he's an Alexandrite.
All right, so anyway, Tevin Coleman in most drafts are going about the 6th or 7th round, okay? And ADP for Breida has been about 150.
Okay.
So I think there's some value there.
Well, and here's a suspicion about Tevin Coleman. Last year, Tevin Coleman had the chance to be the lead back. He had a chance to be the lead dog. He had Ito Smith as his number 2.
He was still there. Yep.
Who was still there.
Yep.
And he's still going to be the number 2. Because
Jerick McKinnon, who can't stay on the field, who was the number 1, but he's always attempted to be the number 1 everywhere he's gone.
Last year
he
was
has never been a number 1.
Exactly.
Ever.
Point 2, yeah.
Anywhere.
He's flashed he flashed in Minnesota, and he's flashed in here, but he's not the guy. In Detroit, but it's clearly
he didn't flash anywhere in San Francisco yet.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of volatility there, but I think the constant is Breida, who's been there, who's a rookie, who's getting better this year, who's gotten the touches. I think
a little bit of a durability issue.
But I think his floor is way above where he's being taken. And if you're, again, trying to assess value on players, if his floor is at that mark in the 150 range, I think he's got a great shot to exceed that. If a couple of pieces fall and he stays somewhat healthy. We'll see. He's one of the guys. Guy number 2, Devontae Freeman. You remember him?
Oh, yeah.
Wow, he was really good when he played, huh?
Yeah.
Miss a year.
Of Ito Smith.
Miss a year, and then all of a sudden he's forgotten, but he was hurt last year. Now, what do you think about Atlanta? I think Atlanta is another offensive juggernaut this year. They got all the pieces, same guys.
And I thoroughly recommend that anybody who plays in the Screwy Louie Football League, the DD football thing, and whatever Danny's thing is,
right.
Pay no attention to this, but go ahead.
Right. Real quick as a correction, we mentioned Ito Smith. He's not. He's in Atlanta now. He got traded.
Yeah.
I forgot he got traded to Atlanta.
I know.
The thing about Devontae Freeman, when he was healthy in the 2 years prior to the injury, he averaged 11 touchdowns a year and 65 catches each year.
Well, he's a superstar. That's the reason why he got the big contract.
And in most drafts, his ATP is in the late fourth round.
Yeah.
So to me, that doesn't make sense.
That's great because I'll take him in the 3rd round.
And probably do very well. Yeah.
Yeah.
On most teams, he's going to end up being RB1, late RB1 value.
Right like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge play. And the backup situations there is no more Tevin Coleman, like we said.
Right.
And they do have Ito Smith. They got Brian Hill, but nobody's pushing him for first rep snaps.
Got to have a lead dog.
He's your guy.
He's been the lead dog.
He's your guy. So they spread the field around. They got Ridley and they got Jones, and so that offense is prolific. And the good thing about their offense being prolific is their defense, even though they think it's gotten a little bit better, I think it's still pretty bad. So they're going to have to score.
How ironic that Dan Quinn can't get a top flight defense.
Makes no sense.
In Atlanta,
right.
After being the architect of the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
And winning a Super Bowl and going to 2 Super Bowls and going to the playoffs 4 years in a row with that defense just smothering people and taking the ball away. And Atlanta just got one mediocre defense that got them to the Super Bowl, and Dan Quinn's got to be tearing his friggin' hair out.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's got good offense.
They score. And listen, Matt Ryan, this year's a big year.
All you got to do is outscore the other team.
You got to win by 1. That's the key, right? So it doesn't make a difference. So again, positive on Devontae Freeman, on Matt Breida, negative on Gordon, negative on Thielen, and negative on Damian Williams. Those are the 3. So mark those down, guys. Pay attention where they are.
Williams is more of a reach than Thielen. Thielen is a reach in the 20s.
He's 24 ADP. I just don't see it. I think that's let somebody else get him at 24. Just don't let it be you. So,
especially if you play in any of the leagues we play in, go right ahead though. He's really good.
Yeah. When we get back, we'll talk a little philosophy.
Philosophy?
Yeah, that way we can all kind of get involved.
You gonna get all like Copernicus on me? And
sure. Let's talk about the runs again. I like talking about the run, not literally
not
the runs.
The runs?
You mean not literally, but quarterback runs.
Big fun. Oh, yeah. Wait, let me turn the reverb down a little. Welcome back to the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. We are here live on a Sunday morning, and I applaud you for your restraint and not going on an endless tirade.
It was hard.
You were doing pre-show.
Yeah, I was jacked up when I got here. Yeah,
a little too much coffee.
I was jacked up.
You were a poster child for caffeine abuse. I was like, did you have coffee before you got here?
Yeah,
as you're sitting here. You're sitting here with your mug going. Yeah, why? What are you talking about? What? No, what are you going to talk about? Let me tell you, ADP. It's going to. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to get a water bottle and squirt you like a spastic cat. Like, no, bad, down. But you evened out. The camera came on. Microphone got in your face, and look at you go.
I think we hit it out of the park.
Oh well, I got to tell you, I couldn't get to my phone fast enough. There was a little pre-show there between you and Roscoe where you guys were going back and forth, yada, 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 yada. And I couldn't get to my phone fast enough to video it because it was pretty prolific. It's something that I hope to get on camera. We'll get like a wider table and we'll put him on and we'll have other people in. That was pretty.
I am so all about roundtable discussion when it comes to fantasy sports.
Gonna need a bigger studio.
Yeah.
Because I know with you, Guru's Guru, me, I would invite a guy like Brian Spatz. I would invite him. He's really, really smart when it comes to football. I would invite the champ from the Screwy Louie Football League, Eric. I would invite him to come be in on that. He kind of knows a thing or two, one or two things. I would invite some people. There would definitely be a big thing. Take some measurements. Who knows? Might be able to pull it off.
We'll make it work.
Yeah,
we'll have to sit closer together. We don't have to practice. We'll figure it out once the time comes.
Can I give a shout out to RT17, by the way? Can I give a shout out to Ryan Tannehill, who has a real shot to steal the starting job in Tennessee? He has a real shot to win the starting job in Tennessee.
When are they going to allow somebody else to take their... Mariota's been there, what now, 7 years? I think it's been 6 years?
4th year.
It's been 11 years he's been there?
11 years.
15 years he's been there?
He's a 15-year pro.
I think they have one playoff victory since he's been there, though.
And here's what I don't get, okay? It's on him. He's had Taylor Lewan out there at left tackle for like the great part of all 4 years. He's had a good offensive line in front of him. He's had good running games. No matter which coach, between Munchak and Vrabel, he's had good O-lines and good running games. What's the excuse? When you had Delaney Walker, you loved Delaney Walker because he was he's a security blanket, and he's going to be back this year.
I think he obviously Mariota had a big injury, but Delaney Walker had another big injury as well.
Yeah,
it's so hard with these teams. I trust Vrabel in the sense that, I mean, I know his pedigree. I was a big Steeler fan. He was a great player. He went up through the system. He's known in the league as being a good young coach.
Yeah.
So I trust Vrabel in that sense. And if he thinks that it's time for a quarterback change, then I guess you have to kind of go along with it. So, and Tannehill, I think he got a little bit of the short end of the stick down here with your team in a lot of ways.
What was I jibber-jabbering about for 6 years? I said, you put an offensive line in front of this kid, and the one time that they put an offensive line in front of this kid, he went nuts.
It was just before they just landed Jarvis Landry and how good he was.
Right.
And things looked like in terms that they started to click a little bit.
Right.
But the Dolphins had so many issues at that point, offensive line. They couldn't run the ball. They weren't even trying to run the ball with Lamar Miller still at that point. They didn't even know he was even there, even though he was there forever. And there was just so many issues, and I think it stymied him for sure. So...
Well,
he's got a shot.
He got injured in week 12. The Dolphins were 8-4, and he was a big reason why. This was back in 2015, 16.
Okay,
I'm going to say 16. Yeah, when he got hurt. He got hurt, and instead of getting surgery to fix the ACL, he decided to rehab it. He went for stem cell research. He was a stem cell therapy, and it worked to an extent. But same knee, non-contact, in practice, just running out of bounds, just taking an extra step to get that extra half a yard, you're done. And then they had to go and reconstruct it. They had to put a cadaver tendon. You cost yourself a year and a half of football.
Yeah, but that's on the team, though. That's on the team.
It's on the team, but here's my point. They never really put another good offensive line in front of him. They didn't put a good offensive line in front of Jay Cutler, and he got killed. It didn't. I keep telling everybody over and over and over again, unless you have a spread offense with lots of squirrels running all over the place and fast guys and a dude that can get rid of the ball, okay? Offensive line should be your priority.
Agree. That's the foundation. Offensive line, defensive line wins championships, both sides. Pressure on the quarterback and be able to control the football. That's how you win. Yeah, no question.
Exactly. Because although you may, Patrick Mahomes may be a bit of a physical phenom and he may be a great quarterback, but if you put him, his production is going to be drastically lower in front of a mediocre to horrible offensive line.
Agree. I mean, the players around you are just as important as
Look at
who
Russell
you are.
Wilson.
Yeah.
Look at Russell Wilson. Not last season, the season before. Okay, in 2017. Okay, they had a horrible offensive line. He was getting killed, and they didn't go to the playoffs. And he didn't have a very good fantasy season. He had a very below average fantasy season. Okay. Oh wait, a finger from the disembodied voice of the Guru's guru.
On the chat line, the discussion is now, what's going on with the Dolphins' offensive line? What's the deal?
Well, okay. We hijacked the show. The Dolphins want to eat us.
Take it. It's yours.
Okay. So the deal with the Dolphins' offensive line is that we don't have a lot of depth. We have we have a rookie at left guard. We have Kilgore, who is supposed to be good, but he's either been injured or mediocre. So let's hope Daniel Kilgore actually pans out. Let's just say he's an average center. Yay. Okay. Then you have Jesse Davis and it's killing me. The kid, another draftee. I believe he was a fifth runner.
I'm looking at some interesting Dolphins.
Okay, you look at Dolphins stuff while you keep looking at stuff and start throwing names at me, especially their draft, because they drafted another offensive lineman as well. And then they've got a position battle out at right tackle. What? I heard a cough. What? Oh, you're just coughing. Oh, you're going. Between I don't want to say Jordan Phillips. Is his name Jordan Phillips? Yeah, the right tackle. The kid they picked up from Buffalo. So what you have is a situation where you have Laramie Tunsil and 4 question marks. And then those question marks will cycle out to be backup question marks. So it's going to be on the offensive line coach. It's going to be on the guys that are coming in, especially the new guys and the young guys. And what?
Well, no, I'm just saying, just as you mentioned offensive line coach, I do know that it's your 6th offensive line coach in the last 5 years.
Right.
And I know in a position where you need consistency and stability, clearly, I mean, maybe this is the guy, but it's a lot to put on for this to be the guy.
Well, they fired their offensive line coach 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Because he wasn't the guy that they really wanted, and the guy that they really wanted suddenly became available. Okay. It really wasn't about the coach not being able to implement the system.
No, it's philosophy based.
Was it Dave Giacolacamo or a very, very sought after offensive line coach?
Right.
So he was actually a really good get for us. And it may be, I don't want to say it's a turning point type of an event, but he is a very good coach.
Okay.
And we do have good players in place. But as with all offensive linemen, you can put 5 all-pros out there, but you have a shitty coach, you're not going to be as good as if you put 5 all-pros out there.
I agree.
You know, what? Yes. What? Oh, disembodied voice.
Yes. If you saw the first preseason game, both the quarterbacks were running for their lives.
That was really bad. But also
it's going to take time.
Right. But you also didn't have Laramie Tunsil out there. Daniel Kilgore was out there for 1 series. And
the offenses are generic at this point too. There's some issue, but you do want to see protection. You don't want your quarterbacks game 1 to be running for their lives.
Atlanta was playing their second game, and they had a lot of ones in too. They had a lot of ones in for in their first series too. But the second series, you had Josh Rosen out there. Poor guy. I swear he's got PTSD by now. Because I mean, your first snap, and you've got crashing defensive ends.
Yeah.
As you get the ball, and you guys are back here already?
All right, for what it's worth, we got a numbers guy here. Dolphins faced the 10th toughest schedule this year, strength of schedule.
Yes.
Mediocre at best. That can go either way. Half a dozen games doesn't really matter, but that's just a starting point. So I don't know. I just think it's still too much volatility. You have too many questions to be answered. Young quarterback that hasn't been proven. Bad offensive line. New coaching staff. The Patriots are in your division still. The Jets are getting better. I don't know. I just think you're still behind the 8 ball to a large degree.
Yeah,
but you want to see progress. Whatever the expectations are, whatever the realistic expectations are for the Dolphins, you want to be able to exceed those.
Right.
So if you do that, regardless if you have 4 wins, 6 wins, 7 wins, doesn't really matter.
You know what I want? I want to split with my divisional. I want to beat the Patriots. I want to beat the Bills. I want to beat the Jets. At least split with those 3 teams.
Okay.
So there's 3 wins. Okay. I think that we can sneak up on the Ravens on opening day.
Again, but what are you doing now? You're just
home?
accumulating wins, but for what reason? What I'm saying is that, sure, what if you win a game on a botched snap? And, okay, put it in the win column. Who gives a shit?
Sure.
You want, again, I don't care how many games you win this year. If you're a realistic Dolphin fan, you're like, we're not going to the playoffs. We're not going to probably even be a 500 team, but I don't care because I want to see Rosen get really good.
Yeah.
I want to see the offensive line gel.
Yeah.
I want to see the young secondary get better, and then we can worry about the draft in next year. If that's how you should assess your team, if you're a realistic realistic fan. I'm not saying the Dolphins. There are many teams. The Steelers, that's I got a whole other discussion about them.
Yeah, but you would have a coronary if the Steelers went 6-10.
No, I don't, because I realize now that who we are
you
going
burn
into
your
the
jersey
season.
if the Steelers went 6-10.
I only burnt Brown's jersey, not nobody else. No, actually, I didn't burn his jersey. I threw away his socks. I bought his
not
socks
the
in Pittsburgh.
socks.
Yes, I had Antonio Brown socks.
Not the socks.
Never wore them.
socks.
They were up in the cave, and as soon as the whole bullshit contract, I
Give me
took his socks and I threw them away. Yeah, done. So anyway, all right. So just
They'd be
be
great puppets.
just be
What did the
realistic.
hosiery ever do to you?
Probably should have donated to the homeless or something, but they probably won't even wear it anyway.
They'd be like,
They're like Antonio Brown.
Antonio Brown.
Get out of here! Yeah,
Give me the
give me the
white-
Kaepernick socks.
Give me the camera.
I'll be here all week. Yeah.
Thanks for watching the Gonzo Radio Sports Desk. My name is Gonzo. Bye. We're out of here. Oh my God. Okay, I got to walk that one off.
So that's the Dolphin talk. So again, just be realistic. Listen,
why did you have to end Dolphin talk with that?
I'm not a hater by any stretch.
All right. Well, here's what I'm expecting. Okay, I'm expecting 6-10. I'm expecting 4 of those wins to be home wins. Okay, it's a really, really tough schedule. I believe we travel to Tennessee, where Ryan Tannehill will be the starter and kick our
How great
ass.
would that be? I mean, not for the
What do
outcome.
you mean great?
Listen, not for the outcome you just
It's a
explained.
tradition. It's a Dolphin tradition.
Talking about the backstory, the idea of
yeah,
you
I
going to him and to Tannehill. I don't care who wins the
I
game.
know, but listen, it's a Dolphin tradition. Okay, of cutting a player
And then getting
or
your ass
trading
beat by that player.
and then he comes back here and he just
well.
it goes back so far. Tony Martin, after we sent him to the San Diego Chargers, you can go so far back as to Larry Zonka, who scored 2 touchdowns against us because we wouldn't pay him.
We should
He
do
played
a
for the
segment
Giants.
on a future show on narrative, because that's what that is. That's narrative where it's you're
Dante
like,
Culpepper.
man, I want to burn these. Like Randy Moss. I mean, there's so many stories.
Evans.
Yeah.
Heath Evans, who is a nobody, but he's got 2 Super Bowl rings.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Well, he started off with the Dolphins, and the Dolphins cut him in training camp. Second week, didn't even make it to the 3rd week of training camp. Patriots picked him up in like 72 hours. Boom, we want that guy, fullback. And he stuck it to the Dolphins every time that he played the Dolphins. And he only played like 3 or 4 more years. But he stuck it to the Dolphins. And then when he became a broadcaster, it was almost like, all right, how did the Dolphins fuck up today? Let me get that story.
Yeah.
He wanted that story.
So he carried that with him.
He wanted that story.
Well, listen, football's an emotional sport, as we all know, and
he had a beef.
It's not a
He
bad
did not
thing.
like the colors.
Yeah, it's not a
He
bad
was
thing.
not into this.
to have a little extra oomph in your
a little
corner.
extra. Culpepper's 5 touchdowns just sticks in my craw.
Yeah, narrative.
I was there. I saw it.
I think I buy into that narrative only for the sense that obviously with sport, with success, you got to have focus, you got to have determination, and on those particular days, you're a little more excited, a little more prepped, a little more focused. I mean, you want to give it back to your old employer, your old boss, your old girlfriend, your old whoever. That's in our human nature.
I've done that a few times.
That's
in
who we are.
Different situations.
That's who we are.
Professionally and personally.
Yeah, you definitely want to get that revenge narrative factor. Like, look at me, I'm better now than I was then. Sure, that's all normal. So yeah, I buy into that narrative sometimes, for sure.
Nothing like bringing a hotter date to your ex-girlfriend's birthday party. I'm that guy. Anyway, so once again, 6-10. They split with the divisional rivals. And we draft the best offensive linemen available in the first round. We just start picking O linemen and D linemen, offensive line, defensive line. Because you look at the plethora of skill position players who are locked up under contract for 2 or 3 more years. 2 to 3 more years.
Edge rushers, offensive line.
Yes.
That's the focus.
Period.
It should be the Dolphins, for sure.
Period.
Yeah.
That's
Pressure on the
what you're gonna
quarterback.
get. And also, let's also remember that next year is also a wonderful. First of all, they have 11 draft choices. Okay, they have 11 draft picks, or 12. Is it 11 or 12, Russ?
What's that?
The Dolphins next year in the draft. 12 draft picks.
Something like that.
So-
That's
just
the max you can have. I think, is
bunch.
12,
Yeah, they've got a
It's
bunch.
the Patriot way.
Yeah, it's a bunch, exactly. And they're not all first rounders. They got 2 second rounders though. But it's a bunch of draft choices. Plus, they have a lot of the salary cap problems that they have are going to be alleviated next year. Sue is going to be off the books. They're going to move Rashard Jones. They're going to have money to spend.
Okay, so again, your focus this
This
year
is the developmental year.
is looking on improvement in some
Right.
key areas and putting yourself in position to move forward.
Yep.
100%.
Okay.
That's success.
Okay, we
That's
can get on.
success.
We can get on with normal football because now I'm sure the non-Dolphin fans are all like, "Can we stop talking about the Dolphins?" It's like, hey, we talked about the Raiders, all right?
Let's just, if we want to just end this real quick, and what we talk about all the time is value. I talk about preaching value.
Right.
I want to give an example we talked about prior to the show about a guy that, to me, represents what it is to be able to find
Excuse me, I have to
value
straighten my 17. Go
coming
ahead.
into this draft.
Right.
Let's talk about just Russell Wilson, okay?
Love them.
All right, here's the deal. Strictly value for me, definition, guy is going about 10th, 11th round, let's say in most drafts, and that's where you target him to be, and you feel like he can exceed those values, then you're going to be ahead and reaching for a guy like that.
Sure.
Let me give you a little stats to support why I think Russell Wilson supports this whole value concept. Vegas puts out a line every year, a prop bet for quarterbacks on how many touchdowns that they can throw during a given year.
Right.
Okay, they've got him as the fourth highest quarterback at 30.5 touchdowns. There's only 4 quarterbacks that are 30 touchdowns or more. He's one of them. Okay, that's throwing touchdowns.
Yeah.
I think Vegas is on to something. Also, Russell Wilson last year had the highest percentage of his passes in the red zone. So now,
Even though they are a run-first team. We talked about that last week.
they're known as that, but the shift is made. They were actually middle of the pack last year of throwing on first down. So there could be a little bit of shift there. And now they've got Carson healthy, hopefully, for a year, and they've got some weapons, and Lockett stepped up. So their offense seems to be in a positive direction. Offensive line, they dealt with a lot of injuries, too. Okay, back to Wilson in terms of value. Most drafts, it looks like he's taken quarterback 11, 12, 13 off the board. Now, Vegas sees him as being potentially the guy that's going to have the 4th highest touchdown rate in the league this year. To me, that screams value. Okay?
In the 8th round.
Well, again, let's take a step further.
7th round.
Don't lock into rounds, because here's what's going to happen in your draft. You're going to have what's called the run, what we talked about before the break.
Not runs.
And the typical run that usually starts
Amazing what happens when you put an S at the end of a word.
is the quarterback run.
Right.
Everybody gets so worried about when's the first quarterback going to go. Now, typically, the first 2 going are going to be Rodgers and Mahomes, and they'll go relatively soon. Everybody's
First round.
They're going to reach for those
Second
guys
round.
and let them. Okay. The issue you're going to have is when you start worrying about, well, who's next, who's third, who's fourth, who's 5th best quarterback.
Right.
Whenever that quarterback run starts, get ahead of the curve. Have somebody in your pocket, like a Russell Wilson, if this is a guy that you agree with me.
Right.
Have him in your pocket and know that he's going to probably exceed value, and he's on nobody's radar.
All day, every day.
So let the 4 guys in your league reach for their quarterbacks because they feel like they've got to fill that position need.
Go
And
get 'em.
Take the quarterback. They'll reach for a Ben Roethlisberger, or they'll reach for other quarterbacks that, if they're taken during that run, more than likely are not going to hit value in that round. And you can wait a few more rounds and go get Russell Wilson.
You want to hear a reach quarterback that I think somebody we have 3 drafts together, and I can guarantee you that somebody will overdraft Kyler Murray because they think that they're going to be pulling the steal pick of the draft.
Right. They're going to compare
In
it
the
to a
6th
Mahomes
round.
type guy and
Yeah,
new.
6th round, 7th round. They were like, oh, I waited. I was like, wow, you waited.
Interesting.
It's going to happen. You watch.
Yeah,
And
well-
we'll come back and report it.
I would have a hard time taking a guy
Disembodied
like
voice?
Disembodied voice.
What?
For years, their 29th year this year, the Fantasy Football Pro Forecast magazine always puts their favorite fantasy player on the cover. Well, in 2014, 16, and 18,
Bring him around here. Bring him around here in the back. Show right here between. Show the people.
2014,
16, 18.
Yeah, there he is.
That's Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Mr. Wilson. Mr. Wilson!
Perhaps one of the most underrated quarterback in the league.
Fantasy football magazines out there.
Right.
Of course, everything is now online, internet, that, and the other. But for us old school guys, since we've been doing this 29 years,
Ah!
the information here is fantastic. But once again, Russell Wilson on those 3 covers, recent years.
Yeah. I mean, there's
I
no-
drafted Otto Graham in the 9th round.
just
He lost.
I keep preaching, guys. I keep preaching that at least through, in my opinion, the first 8, 9, 10 rounds, that we shouldn't be focused on necessarily taking players to fit positional needs on our team as opposed to taking the best player available. And I'll give you a simple analysis. And even though it's not the correct one in terms of what this will play out to be, you'll get the point. if you have already taken 2 running backs on your team, for instance, and at that point you felt those were the best 2 running backs to be taken in whatever rounds, and Ezekiel Elliott comes up in the 8th round and nobody's taken him yet, and you're going, well, shit, I need a running back. Or, I'm sorry, I need a wide receiver, or I need a quarterback. I don't need a running back. Let me go ahead and take, I hate to be picking on Ben Roethlisberger, let me take Ben Roethlisberger in the 8th round because I need a quarterback. Big mistake. And a lot of teams do that.
Even if he's the highest rated quarterback available?
But because that's fine. Because how do you know what the other teams have done in terms of taking their quarterbacks? That means that they've taken the other ones. That's the only reason why that quarterback's the highest rated available. Not because he's at value in that particular round, but because everybody else is taking
left out there. He's a leftover.
Because he's available, yes. Okay, available doesn't make him best available. It only makes you available.
What if it's Melvin Gordon?
Who doesn't matter who it is. My point is, if he's whoever it is, tight end, receiver, running back, even quarterback, if that player is available in the 8th round, and you already have a quarterback, and you already have a receiver, and you don't need another receiver, I think you're making a mistake if you don't take the best player available. By the time we get to the end of the season, our teams are a shell of what they are. And they're like that because we're filling wide receiver 4s and wide receiver 5s in round 8 and 9 because we need receivers at that time in the draft. And I'm telling you to get away from that philosophy. Do not fill your team based upon your team positional needs, but only on best players available. And worry about filling those needs as the season progresses.
Well, BPA, best player available, BPA is a time-tested, successful philosophy for just regular football teams.
Right.
You more successful franchises.
But it's hard to do.
A la the Dallas Cowboys, a la the New England Patriots.
It's hard to do in these drafts, and I'm telling you, I've been victim of the two. But the most popular one that everybody, remember this, once you get into the quarterback run, don't be the guy on the ass end of that run. Don't be the guy reaching for the quarterback because you've got to fill your team with a quarterback. And don't be on the early on you'll get the running back run. It could happen in the first round too. You may reach for running back 7 because he's the 7th best running back, but that doesn't mean you take him in the 7th position. His value may be in the 3rd round somewhere.
Yeah, the only way you grab a quarterback in a quarterback run is if you're the first person to grab the quarterback in the quarterback run.
Again, but
then you're just getting your quarterback.
Exactly. Now, if you've keyed in on a guy, no matter who that guy is, at whatever position, if you think he's going to blow up value, then you go get that guy. And you may have to reach a round or two to do that.
Sure.
But you can't fill your team with that philosophy. You can't fill a team based upon all these predictions on guys you think are going to exceed 1 and 2 and 3 rounds because it just doesn't play out like that.
Well, 2 years ago I did it with Cam Newton, and he did very well.
Yeah, I think you lose drafts more as opposed to finding value in particular players as opposed to assuming players will hit a certain value.
Right, but I was feeling Newton in the 7th round rather than in the 9th or 10th round when everybody else would have taken it.
Yeah, I mean, some of these
and
things,
he had a great season.
Some of these things play out where you're right. Obviously, that's your goal is to be right. But I'm just saying more than not, if you get caught up in the runs and you're on the tail ass of these runs, you're going to be behind the 8 ball. Let the other guys chase positional need. Okay, let those guys fall behind the 8 ball.
Listen, one philosophy I always have is if there's a run in front of me, no matter what it is, if it's a quarterback run, a defense run, you remember the defensive runs, you'll even get a kicker run in the 10th or 11th round. Okay, 3 or 4 people, top kicker. I'll go opposite of that. I'll do it on purpose. I don't go, I need a second quarterback then.
Well, here's what makes sense.
I need a second defense or whatever. I mean, I just won't pick that. I won't follow a run.
Think about this. Since I've already explained that I think most teams draft upon positional need, if the guy in front of you is taking a receiver, in your mind, you should know that, guess what? You bought time. Because the chances of him coming back and taking another receiver, especially in later rounds, are not going to happen. Because he doesn't need that position anymore.
Nope.
Now, he may look at that and go, like we've explained, well, he's going to pass over this great receiver that I'm going to take, but more than likely, you can probably wait one more round. So
unless he's the best player available.
Unless he's the best player available. But that, again, that was something you're going to have to determine. So, again, just don't lock into positional lead. Lock into the best player available. Because that player will always maintain its value, even though you may not need him week 1, week 2. He could be trade bait. He could be, and here's a simple explanation as well. If you've removed a good player off the board and you've gotten good round value from him, guess what you've done? You've taken that away from the other teams.
Oh, yeah.
So you've not only made a positive step for your team, but you've taken away from somebody else. So there's always that second alternative, that dimension that is going to affect your league and is going to put you in a better position to win. So best player available, not positional need. I can't explain it any more simple than that.
Did you write that down? You got that? Not you, Russ.
You don't have to write it down.
You don't have to. He knows.
He knows. Yeah, so.
Okay, he's got the magazines to show it. No, he knows. Write that down. Best player available.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, throughout the history of the NFL, in the actual reality draft of the NFL, teams that were successful grabbed the best player available at that, whether it's at 1 or at 10 or at 30. They grabbed the best player available. Oh, but we need a quarterback. Yeah, but this defensive back, he is not only the best player available, but he's graded out about 10 positions higher.
Yeah.
We're getting him on a steal, and he's the BPA. We're taking this guy.
The smart teams do that.
Right.
I don't think all
we've
of them
already
do,
got 3 good corners now.
Yeah.
We got 4.
No, the smart teams do that. Yeah, I don't think all the teams do, unfortunately, but I think the smart teams.
The Dolphins used to do it when Charlie Winter was the general manager and Don Shula was the president of football operations, and they picked the best player available. And people used to get flummoxed in the first round. The Dolphins take a defensive end. Yeah, but we need a quarterback. We need somebody to succeed Bob Greasy. Defensive end it is.
I still think that your best draft pick in the history of the Dolphins was Ted Ginn and his family. I think that was the big speech when he was up on the front of the mic. We didn't just take Ted Ginn, but we took his family. Remember the whole speech he gave?
Why? Why you got to go there?
I'm just saying. I mean, that's
it hurts almost as much as Deion Jordan.
I wasn't trying to stab.
I mean, Deion Jordan hurts my heart.
Yeah.
Okay. Deion Jordan really cuts me to the quick. But you have to mention Ted Ginn Jr.
Sorry.
Oh my God!
Laying it out there.
I feel attacked.
That wasn't an attack on a Dolphin fan. I'm just.
I feel attacked. I feel attacked.
I like using that reference as who drafts a family.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. So what else you guys? Is that it? You're out of gas?
No, we got a lot. We're getting closer, guys. Most
drafts are coming up.
About 2 weeks. Most teams will be drafting. I guess.
Mock it up, kids. Mock.
What I've seen is a lot of leagues are aiming for the Labor Day weekend. They're for the last possible moment for what's going on from.
Well, we've got one the week before. We've got one on the 25th. We've got one on the 2nd. I think we may have Screwy Louie on the 2nd as well.
When's the Diamond Doll League? That's 2nd?
That's 25th.
25th. What's today's date?
Yeah. The later the better, gang. Just remember what happened
the later the better.
10th,
what's today's
so we
date?
got 2
Today
weeks.
is the 11th.
So it's 2 weeks from today.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, and we'll also be starting our DraftKings account.
Yes, by
And
next week
sharing
that'll be
some of the
everything on there.
intricacies of that.
Yeah, we'll get that out there so people can see for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions from the chat room? Anybody? No. Okay, goodbye.
Chat was fine.
No. Chat room's fine? Okay, well, on behalf of myself, come on around here. Let's say goodbye to the nice people.
Goodbye, nice people.
The Guru's Guru.
What a crew.
He's out of here.
What a crew.
What a crew. Yeah, we're gonna start throwing him into the mix. We may actually give him a camera every once in a while. I don't know. He doesn't.
Only if he wears the glasses.
He's a little camera shy. Yeah. Well, of course, on behalf of myself and the caffeine junkie next to me, who's drinking every caffeinated drink in my entire house, maniac. That's what he runs on. He runs on caffeine. Yes. I run on spite. He runs on caffeine. I'm Big Daddy Gonzo. That's the Maz. We will see you next week, 11 a.m. sharp-ish. And we'll be able to tell you, give you a little better idea of who, what, where, when.
We'll have a better handle on some things.
It will be very, very interesting to see after next week's slates because that's when the starters get more work.
Yep.
All righty. So we'll see you guys next week, 11 a.m. here on the Gonzo Radio Network on YouTube. And don't forget Spreaker, Podbean, and SoundCloud in case you just want to listen along. See you next week. Bye-bye.